Once upon a time, there was a large grand house, and a magnificent Christmas tree in that house, and a crackling fire. There was music in every room, because it was the Christmas Eve. Clara and Franz were brother and sister. They were excited because it was the Christmas Eve and because they were waiting for someone. They were waiting for Uncle Drosselmeyer. He was a clever man and a good toy maker. Waiting was boring. While waiting, Franz was playing with his toy soldiers, and Clara was playing with her dolls. "How long will he be?" asked Clara. "I don't know, but I am very bored," said Franz. Then they heard the clip-clop of horses, and they felt happy because Uncle Drosselmeyer was coming. Uncle Drosselmeyer walked in. He greeted the party guests, and he brought presents for children, a puppet for Helen and a castle for Franz. For Clara, he brought a nutcracker. Franz saw the nutcracker, and he loved it, but he felt jealous and turned green with envy. Clara thought, "It is my nutcracker." Franz said, "I love soldiers. Give it to me, please." Clara replied, "No, I won't. It is my nutcracker and I love it." Franz tried to snatch it from her hand, but Clara didn't let it go. Then the nutcracker was broken in two. Clara began to cry and Uncle Drosselmeyer saw it. He repaired it with a magical handkerchief. Then the guests left, and then everybody went to bed. Clara slept with the nutcracker in her arms. Then the clock struck midnight, and Clara woke up. Her nutcracker was not there. She went downstairs and she heard a sound from the dining room. Slowly and carefully she opened the door. She blinked because she saw an army of mice in the room. The Mouse King was at the head of the army. They were walking towards the nutcracker. At the same time, her brother's toy box opened and the toy soldiers came out of the box. The Mouse King drew his sword. The nutcracker drew his sword and the fight began. Then Clara saw that the Mouse King was about to kill the nutcracker. She threw her slipper at the Mouse King and the slipper hit him on the head. Suddenly, the room was full of light and Clara closed her eyes. When she opened her eyes, she saw the nutcracker. She couldn't believe her eyes. The nutcracker had become a prince. The nutcracker prince thanked her. He said, "Clara, you saved my life. Thank you." She couldn't speak because she was surprised. Then the prince told her his story. "Many years ago, the Mouse King turned me into a wooden soldier with an evil spell. But you hit the Mouse King on the head and broke the spell. And I have become a prince again. And now I can return to my own country." "Your own country? What country is that?" "I am the prince of the land of sweets. I will take you to my country because you saved my life." Then the prince took her to his country. They flew over roofs and trees. Then they landed. It was an enchanted wonderland. At the magical castle there was a ball in honor of the prince's return. In the center of the room, there was a beautiful fairy princess. Her dress was the color of roses and she was wearing beautiful diamonds around her neck. Then she met Clara. She said, "Thank you very much, Clara. You bring our prince back home. Tonight, you are our guest of honor." Clara was amazed by marshmallow cushions and gingerbread tables. She loved the dancing of the tiny dolls with their flutes. But most of all, she loved the dancing of the fairy. Then the prince and Clara danced. After the dance, the prince kissed her on the cheek, and Clara closed her eyes. "Thank you for everything, Clara." When she opened her eyes, she was back at home, lying on her bed. It was the Christmas morning. There was the smell of delicious breakfast and the presents were waiting for her. Clara knew that the Nutcracker was not at home because he was in his land of sweets now. And she lived happily ever after.